In yesterday's session, in our previous session, we discussed about SQL. So once again, let us review this. SQL is divided into DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, and DQL. DDL is data definition language, in which we use commands like create, alter, drop, and rename. We use commands create, alter, drop, rename. Using them, a database object can be created, object can be altered, and we can remove that object from database and we can rename. So these are the commands: create command, alter command, drop command, and rename command. In the same way, we have DML commands. DML has insert to insert data into table. Suppose we want to update few columns of the given database table. So we use update command, with that records can be updated. Similarly, we use delete command. Using delete command, we can delete rows from the database table. We have under DCL, data control language, grant and revoke. So permissions can be granted to users and permissions can be removed using grant and revoke commands. Similarly, we have TCL, transaction control language, in which we can start a transaction, then after that we can save the transaction to some extent, we can commit, we can save, similarly we can be rolling it back. So like this we use TCL, transaction control language. And the other one, last one, is DQL. Using DQL, we perform actually select, we write select queries. Okay, so here the DQL statements are called as select queries. Rest of the things are action queries. Action queries do not return any data. No rows are returned with action queries. Here actions get performed like creation, altering, dropping, renaming. Similarly, insertion of data, updation of data, deletion of data, granting and revoking. So these all commands they execute under action queries. So as far as select command is concerned, using that you can select a single row or multiple rows. Okay, you may select one row or you may be selecting multiple rows. So yesterday we created a new table. Okay, we created a new table yesterday. Even we created a new database using create database command. Let us see what we created yesterday. So expand here the databases tab. Here you can see that we created yesterday a database. So the database name here is we have here first DB is a database we created yesterday. It contains just one table. It contains here just one table, but when you expand this table, you find here the columns. Whatever columns we have in that, you can see. You can see columns like this. When you expand that particular tab, you get these columns: user ID, username, date of birth, gender, then password and description. So here user ID is a primary key column. So what's the meaning of primary key here? Primary key means it should not be null. At the same time, it should not have duplicate values. That means no two rows should have same value for this particular column, user ID column. So that's what is a primary key. And what type of data we take in that? We take integer data. So for primary key, it is integer data. Okay, so the data types are what? Exact, under exact numerics, we have a short int, we have a tiny int, we have a short int, we have integer, then we have long int, then we have bit also in that. So these are exact numerics. Okay, so they can be called as exact numerics. Here user ID is actually integer type of data and we mark that as primary key. Every row, in every row for this user ID you should supply a value, and the value must not be getting repeated, must not be getting duplicated. If you try to enter duplicate value, the row will be rejected and row will not be added to the database table. and it gives error message. So here violation of the primary key constraint, such message you get. So you cannot add actually duplicate values for this column. That means no two rows under this column can have same value. User ID is what exactly? It's a primary key here. So primary key means it's not null, at the same time it is unique. Unique and not null is called as primary key. Next one, username. Username can get repeated. Okay, username can be getting repeated, but here username is what type of data? Character type of data. It can take up to 100 characters, but not exactly 100 characters. It's not fixed length here. It is variable length. This is exactly what is variable length. This is going to be variable length data. Here the length is going to be, it can take actually sometimes 10 characters, sometimes 15 characters, sometimes 20 characters. Like that, number of characters can be changing as far as username is concerned. Okay, so under username, number of characters can be here changing. So that is going to be here. Username is actually not fixed length. This is variable length. This is exactly variable length data. Okay, the DOB is date time column. DOB is actually date time. This does not accept any null values. So under DOB you cannot enter null because we mark that as not null. So all these are nothing but different types of constraints. Primary key is a constraint. Similarly, here not null is a constraint, and here similarly we have here check constraint also we have. We have different types of constraints. Primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, then not null constraint, check constraint, unique constraint. So like that we have different types of constraints. Now next thing here, gender we take. So gender is exactly 1 byte of only one character we can enter. So gender can be male or female here. So either it can be M or it can be F, like the values we take for the gender. Similarly, we look at password. So in the case of password, it is going to be up to 20 characters, varchar of 20. Okay, so it cannot be null also. You should enter some value. At least one character is required as far as password is concerned. Minimum one character you should enter. So otherwise, it does not accept data for the password. One more thing is descript. So here you can describe regarding the user. So one more constraint what we kept was DOB. When you enter DOB, it should calculate age. So age you have to get it as at least minimum 18 years there. So if it is less than 18 years, it does not accept data. So it does not actually accept here the data. So here therefore we have DOB. So DOB, with this we used a check constraint. When we use check constraint, what happens exactly? It's going to check for the entered data. So the date is actually checked with the current date. The difference between the entered date and today's date, if the difference between them is greater than or equal to 18 years, in such cases date is accepted, otherwise date is rejected there. So date is going to be rejected in such cases. Now apart from that, we have here keys. We have here different keys. So one is what? Primary key we have here. We have primary key, that's for user ID, and other constraints let us see. One is what here? CHK, user DOB, it's a check constraint, and here gender is going to be default constraint. We take here by default a value M. We take M for the gender. So male we enter here, automatically if you forget to enter, automatically takes M, because it can even accept null value. When you don't enter any value for gender, it's going to be accepting automatically M. So like this we have set it. We set in that manner. Okay. Then here total two constraints we kept. One is CHK, other one is DF. CHK stands for here what? A check constraint, and DF is default constraint. It takes automatically a value M when you forget to enter gender. So this was the table definition. Okay, like this we are seeing. But instead of using GUI, you can use the query analyzer window. With that, you can actually type commands. Let us type commands with that. First of all, you need to open the existing database. So therefore, what we do right now, master database is open. You can see here. Right now, what database is open? Master database is open for us. Let us open here the first DB database. So therefore type use command followed by first DB. This is the command we give. So using this command we open the database. And remember one more point here, the SQL server is not case sensitive. That means here whatever commands you are typing, they need not be case sensitive here. So it's not actually case sensitive here. So when you put use first DB, whether you write uppercase or lowercase, it does not make difference, it's going to be opening. TSQL is not case sensitive. You take languages like C, C++, Java, they are going to be case sensitive languages. But here, this is not a case sensitive language. So therefore, when you put use first DB, whether you write in the uppercase or lowercase, it does not make any difference. So first of all, it's going to parse it. If parsing is successful, it will be submitted. Here you can parse, in fact, using this one, you can parse. After this, you click on the parse, it gives here, you can see command completed successfully. That means syntax is correct. Now we can execute it. When we execute this, it's going to open first DB database. What's the database right now we have here? First DB. So that is getting reflected here. You can see here. Database name is what? First DB is the database name. You can see here this. It is first DB. Database is available for us. Okay. Now here we even inserted data yesterday. We inserted data yesterday into this particular table. So first of all, let us select data from the given table. Select. This is actually a DQL command. So using select command, what data is available in the table, you can find TBL user we type. So whenever we select it and execute, it displays number of rows in the bottom. Okay, so this is wrong actually. Select followed by list of columns or star I should use. List of columns I have to use, or I need to put a star. If I put star, all columns are selected. Star from TBL user, like this I put it. Select star from TBL user. After that, select it, then parse it. So if syntax is correct, it gives a command completed message successfully. This message you get. After that, execute it. Now it is showing here number of rows in the bottom. There are two rows. So row number 1, row number 2, like this in the bottom, we are getting data. We are getting data like this here. Select star from TBL user. When you give that command, you get in this way. So using select command, we are selecting all the columns. But even you can select whatever columns you need from that. You don't want to see user ID. You want to see username, DOB, gender, password, and you don't want to see description. So in such case, you can select only those columns. Select username. Okay, similarly, we use DOB. Other thing is here gender, then password. Even password also not required, but let us put here password from what is the table name? Table name is TBL user. We give like this command. From TBL user, we give this way the command. Select username, DOB, gender, password from TBL user. After this, we just parse it. We are going to parse it, then we execute this. When we execute, it's going to show columns like username, DOB, gender and password. It does not show all the columns this time. You can see you have only 4 columns. Username, DOB, then gender and password. Okay. Even their order also you can change. Instead of showing username first, you can show DOB first, then followed by once again you can show username. Similarly, more than once also same column can be selected. Okay. So the column you can show in a different way also. So from this DOB, you can be selecting only year, you can select only month, you can select only date part. So like this, you can show here. For example, the user on what day he was born, on what weekday the user was born, you can find out. It. So like this, we give command select. Okay, so say select username. We put like this, followed by here DOB. As usual, we keep. Then similarly here, what we do, we go with the date name. There is a command called as date name function. With the help of this date name, you can select only the Okay, so we can select from this day of the week, then followed by here DOB we put here. Like this we put here, then comma, we select here gender. Okay, we can select gender, followed by here password from TBL user. Like this we use it. Select username DOB, date name DW, DOB, gender, password from TBL user. Okay, so here we write as, we are going to write this as here weekday. This one we say as weekday. We are going to say this as actually weekday here. So let me select here this one now and parse it. Now try to execute this. It's going to show like this. This is what username DOB. On what day the user was born? That was on actually Thursday. Similarly, next user was born on actually Sunday. So like this, you can select even days. So here in the query, we are using DOB more than once, and this you can think as a derived column. This column is not existing, but we derived a column on the fly. So this you can think as here a derived column. This column was not existing, but we created that column. Date name, this is nothing but a predefined function. So with the help of from the given date of birth, date, time, we can pick only the weekday. So weekday meaning is here Thursday, Sunday, Monday, like that they can be called as weekdays. So we get here the weekday from that. We are getting weekday. So this is called as here a derived column. Only with this query it is available. After that this will not be available for us. Now next thing here, I just try to change their order now. In different way I would like to select. Okay, so I write like select, followed by, first I want to use DOB, then here I want to use gender, then I would like to use username. Okay, from TBL user, you can change their order, but data can be still selected here. There is no problem in any order, in whatever manner you would like to select, you can select. So using select query, now I change it the columns order. But when you look at the column definition, first one is user ID, username, DOB, gender, password and descript. But here what is happening? Now we have changed their order. But when you use select command, in whatever order we define, in the same order they will be selected. Now execute it. In whatever order we define user ID, username, date of birth, gender, password, descript. So in whatever order we define, in the same order, all the rows, all the columns of the rows are retrieved and shown here. So this is what exactly a select command. With the help of select command, we can retrieve data from the given table. Whatever table we created, so from that we can retrieve data using a select command. With the help of select command, we can retrieve data from the given database table. Okay, we are selecting data from the given table using a select command. When you write select star from TBL user, it's going to select data from the given table. Fine. See, yesterday, in our previous session, we created table with here how many columns? Total 5 columns, 6 columns we created. Now suppose we need to add one more column. We have to add one more column. So how to add that column? Using alter command we can do. So alter is nothing but here alter command is a DDL command. So using alter, I can add one more column to that. I can add a column to the existing table using alter command. Or suppose if I feel that certain column is not required, that can be dropped. So using alter command, here what I do, I can be adding here a new column, or I can be say deleting an existing column. Suppose I don't require descript, then I can remove that. Okay. Similarly, I want to here add one more column called as DOJ. We entered of course date of birth, that is fine, but date of joining is also required. See, this is for a user. This user table we may use with a organization for employee purpose, or it can be some website. There the user can, he or she can create his or her account. In such case also we can use it. So therefore we put here DOJ now. We are going to add one more column called as DOJ. Date of joining we need to add here. So therefore let us alter the table. What table we alter here? TBL user we are going to be altering in this. Then write here alter followed by table, we give command alter table. What is the table name? The table name here is TBL user. We put like TBL user followed by we need to add a new column. What is the column name? Add followed by here DOJ followed by date time. Like this we put. We are adding here a new column called as DOJ to the TBL user. So that's why we gave a command alter table command followed by table name. Then we are adding a date of joining new column we are adding. It's called as DOJ. So once you give command like this, select it, and first of all whether command is written in the correct way or not, you can parse. This is correct, then execute it. So when you execute, what happens? One more column has been added. We added one more column to that. Okay, one more column we have added to that. Fine, but I forgot here DOJ. Okay, so alter table TBL user, add DOJ date time. Suppose you forget to enter any data for the DOJ, it should be taking current date and time. You can enter explicitly data to DOJ, or it should take automatically current date and time. That means what? You need to add a default constraint there. We should add a default constraint there. Okay, let us try to even define the constraint for that. Right now we simply added the DOJ, but this must be taking automatically date and time of current date and time. It should take automatically. Therefore we should add here a constraint. So using alter command you can add new columns, you can remove existing columns, that means you can drop the columns. Similarly you can add constraints, you can remove constraints for the given table object. Alter we can use with other things also, but here we are using with the table. Okay, because this is the primary source of data, we added a new column, it's called as here DOJ. After adding it, first of all let us refresh here. Go to this, then refresh. So when you refresh, you get more columns in this. Expand the columns, you get here one more column called as DOJ, which is going to accept a null value here. This is date time, it can accept null value. But as I told you, if you forget to enter DOJ, it should take current date and time. Okay, so it should take current date and time. That means whenever you insert a row into the TBL user, a new row, at that time if you forget to enter DOJ, it should automatically take current date and time. So therefore for that we need to add a constraint called as default constraint. You see here gender. In the case of gender, we are adding here M. If you forget to enter any gender, it's going to take M, because it's going to take the gender as male, because gender is character 1, M stands for male, F stands for female. So it's going to take automatically M. Okay, it's going to take M there if you forget to enter gender. In the same manner, we should enter DOJ. Date of joining we should enter. Similarly, here what happens? You can enter any character. It need not be M or F. Even if you enter C, it takes. If you enter A, it takes. If you enter A, it takes. But we should make it to accept only M or F. It should accept either M or F, but it should not accept actually any other character, because they are meaningless. M is nothing but male and F is female. If you try to enter some A, B, there is no point in that. If you enter C, there is no point in that. So therefore, we need to add one more constraint for the gender there. Okay, one is what? For DOJ, we require default constraint, and for gender, we need to add a constraint called as check constraint. So with the help of check constraint, we should see that it is accepting only M or F. Okay, it should accept either M or F. Like that, we need to write. Okay, so here, let me alter the table. Here I would like to add one more column is already added. Okay, to that column I would like to add a default constraint. If I mean, suppose somebody is entering data, that person forgets to add DOJ in that. So in such cases, automatically it should pick from the system current date and time. So therefore add the default constraint. So here write alter table TBL user, then here add constraint, put like this, add constraint followed by put the constraint name. So put it as df followed by date of joining, like this we put date of joining, we put like this. It is going to be date of joining, this is the constraint name. Okay, add constraint df underscore date of joining followed by, we need to put here the constraint name like default. Okay, default followed by here we need to specify. So default we put here, then in the brackets we try to put it as what value we put here, the value must be default for, write it as get date. With the help of get date we can be getting current date and time. Sorry. So here default we take, then here okay, default we are adding like this, df date of joining, default for the column name is here what, doj, we should put like this default, and here it is we write like get date, like this we put here for doj. This is the syntax to add a default constraint. See, now error disappeared, it's because of IntelliSense. This SQL Server Management Studio gives us an IntelliSense. With the help of IntelliSense, partially it is going to be compiling for us. Whatever commands we type, if you enter something wrong, what happens with that? It's going to show error for us by showing some red curved line below the say statement. So here what happens now, when everything is correct, syntactically everything is correct, therefore it does not give any error. So like this it's going to help us. SSMS is helping. As soon as you type something, if you type something wrong in that, it's going to identify that and it's going to show error. So these days all modern IDEs, integrated development environments, they have a feature called like IntelliSense. With the help of that they assist us in developing, in writing code they can help us. Okay, similarly they provide us actually here autocomplete feature also. As soon as you type some command, it's going to be displaying either the table names or the database name. So like that it's going to help, it's going to help us. So therefore this feature is called IntelliSense. Now this is the command we have written, order table TBL user add constraint df date of joining default and get date here for doj, like this we have written. Now select it. After selecting, once again parse it. You can parse by clicking on this here. Command completed successfully. Now you can execute it. So with this what happens? Now doj we have a default value, that is get date. You can get actually system date and time. System date and time automatically, if you forget to enter a value for the say date of joining doj. If you forget to enter any value for date of joining, so it is going to take automatically system date and time. Now here whether that is available with the keys or not, see. Once again refresh it. Let me refresh here the database, then expand the tables and expand this TBL user, then go with the say keys here. When you expand keys you can get like this. And what are the constraints available? See in this. Now we have total 3 constraints. First one is check constraint, one more is here default constraint. So last one is going to be df, this is what date of joining. Like this it is getting created. See, chk user dob is created by user. User has given a name for that. Similarly for df date of joining, user has given name for that. So because of that, you can understand them easily. But these are here system generated. These are going to be system generated. df underscore tbl user underscore gender underscore 014935 cb, that was created by user. So that's what exactly user created. It's not user created, system generated. System automatically generated. And even the primary key name also here, constraint name also system generated. So that's why it is using some hexadecimal characters here. after the table name. So here it is having hexadecimal characters. So like this it's generating for us. It's generating this way the primary key constraint name automatically created, and for this also for gender also the constraint name automatically created. We created constraint but we haven't given any name. So because of that, what is happening here, it's going to give some name. Okay, so every object should have a name. In the same way, it's creating for the table automatically the constraint name, since we haven't given, because we have declared these constraints at the column level. When you declare at column level, you cannot supply any names there. Okay, but when you declare at the table level, at that time you can give it. Now what happened here? We added TVL user, so for which we are adding a constraint. What is that exactly? df underscore date of joining, which is nothing but default constraint, and here by default it takes current date and time for DOJ. So when automatically it takes current date and time whenever you miss actually entering data for the DOJ. If you forget to enter data for DOJ, in such cases automatically it's going to pick from the system, it gives system date and time. So like this, here we created for DOJ a default constraint. Now let us add one more constraint for gender. As I told, gender should take only either male or female. Okay, it should take only either male or female. It should take, that means either M or F characters it has to take. But if somebody enters A, B, C or F, something like that, that should not be accepted. So we need to create here a domain constraint. Whenever user is trying to enter, it must be taking only here the either M or F alphabets. If you try to enter something other than M or F, should not be acceptable. So therefore, let us create let us create a constraint for gender. So with that, it's going to accept only M or F. Like that, it should take. So therefore, once again, here use alter command to change the table. Here write alter table followed by TBL user. Okay, then here add constraint. Here then chk I put here, it's nothing but check constraint gender. Like this I put chk gender. Okay, chk gender I am typing here, followed by I write here a check constraint like this. Name is going to be chk gender, put check constraint, then here specify the values for the column. So what values we should take? Gender equal to, it should be accepting here a M, or it should accept here gender equal to here F. Like this it should accept. It has to accept an M or F. Like that we need to take in this. So gender equal to M or gender equal to F, it has to accept here. It should take like that the check constraint. Here further it may enter sometimes lowercase alphabet also, even that should be taken. Gender equal to, further we write like here, say small m, or gender equal to small f. Like this we can take it. So it should take only either M or F. So here R is called as an operator, which is nothing but logical operator. It is called as logical operator. About operators, regarding operators we discuss after some time. Okay, here we created a table called as TBL user. So here it's containing columns like, so here just now we added a constraint chk underscore gender, followed by here check gender is M, it should accept M or it should accept F. Like this we added here a check constraint. Now here check it. So here try to parse first of all. After parsing we execute it. Now this is executed successfully. You can refresh here the TBL user now. Just refresh it. Come to this and try to refresh. Come to this here, refresh it. Now expand the columns. You get here the column size user ID, username, DOB, gender, password, descript, DOJ. These columns we added here. These columns are available. Okay, and apart from that, apart from these columns here, there are certain constraints also. See, first one is primary key. We had here chk gender, then user DOB, then df underscore tvl user underscore gender. So it is for taking m automatically if you forget to enter gender. But whenever you enter gender, either it should be m or it should be f. If you try to enter something else, it does not accept there. One more thing is here, what? Df, date of joining. So date of joining also, if you don't enter date of joining in the correct way, date of joining if you don't enter, what happens? Automatically it takes. See, one more point also you need to think about this table before you put before you proceed with the insertion of data into this table. Here see, date of birth. Suppose you enter date of birth as something like 10/5/1995. You enter DOB as 10/5/1995. But date of joining, if you try to enter something like 10/5/1990, it should not be accepted. Okay, so try to understand here the criticality part. Whenever you try to enter here the DOJ, explicitly probably you enter DOJ. When you try to enter DOJ, so whatever date of joining getting entered must be greater than DOB. Must be greater than DOB. And one more point you remember here. One more point what you should remember is, when you try to enter here the DOJ, so DOJ must be greater than or equal to DOJ, whatever date of joining you enter must be greater than or equal to today's date and time. Today's date and time, it must be greater than or equal to today's date and time, current date and time. So that way we should have DOJ. DOJ simply if you keep less than, see, if DOJ is greater than DOB, that's not sufficient there. So DOJ must be greater than or equal to current date and time. Like that you need to add it. Try to understand this. Once again, let us discuss. We created TDL user, in which we have user ID, which is primary key, username varchar of 100, like that we kept. DOB is what exactly? Date time, not null. With the DOB we set certain constraint. Whenever you try to enter date of birth, minimum 18 years are required there. So if the user hasn't attained 18 years of age, it is not acceptable there. It can't be accepted. So DOB, if the user is not having 18 years of age, it's not acceptable there. That way we have added a check constraint. So using check constraint, we force the user to enter, date of birth must be greater than or equal to 18 years. If the date of birth is less than 18 years, it is not going to accept. The table will not accept the DOB less than here, whatever date of birth we enter. So the user age should be greater than or equal to. In such a manner we have written the constraint for the DOB. Similarly with the gender we have written. So as far as gender is concerned, you can put an M or you can put an F. Otherwise if you put any other character, it does not accept. Similarly if you try to forget, to add a value, to enter a value for gender, automatically it takes their M. Similarly password, it is not null, you need to enter some password. Description also, it can be null, you miss it. But as far as DOJ is concerned, date of joining is concerned, you need to enter date time. Okay, suppose we don't enter date time, it's going to take actually current date and time. But there is a problem here. So if the user is entering DOJ, date of joining, when the user is trying to enter, it should, whatever date of joining is getting entered must be greater than or equal to DOB, that is, sorry, not equal, must be greater than DOB. So it must be greater than or equal to DOB. Okay, so it must be greater than or equal to DOB. In that manner it should be getting entered. Okay, and here whatever DOJ you enter, whatever date of joining you enter, so that must be giving, here the difference again should be taken as 18 years minimum. From the date of birth, when you calculate current date and time, DOJ when you compare, so it should be greater than or equal to 18 years. In such case only it is valid. Okay, DOB, with that you are getting 18 years. I mean, if the candidate age is 18 years, in that case you accept DOB. It's taking. Similarly, whenever DOJ is getting added, date of joining. So date of joining, I mean the difference from with the DOB and DOJ must be greater than or equal to 18 years. In that manner, it should be written. So if you take DOB and if you try to say here, if you try to enter DOJ, if the difference between the two is here greater than or equal to 18 years, in such case only DOJ should be accepted, otherwise it should not be accepted. But now what happens here? DOB you can enter as 10/5/1995, but DOJ you can enter 10/5/1990. So here your DOJ can be less than DOB, which is in fact wrong data. You should not take like that. So always you should maintain the integrity of the data. Whatever data you enter should be valid, should be useful. Okay, usable data that is. So like that there should not be any anomalies. You should not have actually wrong data. How the date of joining can be greater than DOB if some less than DOB? So DOB is here 10/5/1995, but you are entering date of joining as 10/5/1990. So this is actually wrong data. It's not valid data. So always you should enforce certain rules, certain constraints. With the help of that, as much as possible, we enter correct data. So therefore, here we require one more constraint for the DOJ. For date of joining, we should be adding here another constraint. So what constraint we can add here? Again, check constraint is required. So here we can take a check constraint. Therefore, once again try to add here alter command. So alter, then followed by here table, then TDL user, then here add the constraint, add constraint. Here this is chk underscore DOJ. It is what exactly date of joining. Then here we use the check constraint. So in the check constraint we try to check for the date now here. For date and time we check here. So whenever you compare DOJ and DOB, the difference between DOJ and DOB as far as number of years are concerned, it should be greater than or equal to 18 years. Like that we need to put. Okay, because you can become a user when you attain 18 years of age. Therefore, DOB and DOJ when you compare, that must be greater than or equal to 18. In such case only it is acceptable. So otherwise it can't be accepted. And at the same time, DOJ you take. So DOJ whatever you enter should not be greater than current date and time. Again this point also you remember. Okay, simply if you try to compare DOB and DOJ, you can enter, I mean some DOJ you can enter. So therefore the difference between DOB and DOJ can be greater than or equal to 18. That's fine. But DOJ should not be greater than again current date and time. Current date, today the person is joining, so the date must be less than or equal, I mean some user is joining. So whenever user is joining, that must be less than or equal to current date and time, but it can't be more than current date and time. So therefore we need to consider these 2 points here. Date of joining whatever we enter must be, I mean the difference between in years, the difference between DOJ and DOB must be greater than or equal to 18 years. That is first point and first rule we need to follow. Second rule is what here? DOJ must not be, I mean must be less than here or equal to current date and time. So with tomorrow's date you cannot go with the DOJ. DOJ is what exactly? Date of joining. So for date of joining you cannot enter tomorrow's date. If somebody is trying to enter for, I mean tomorrow's date, if you want to enter as date of joining, that is wrong. So therefore you cannot give tomorrow's date for the date of joining. So therefore whatever date of joining you put must be less than or equal to today's, I mean current date and time. So that way you should set it. So using check constraint you can make it. Here see, when you enter DOJ, the difference between DOJ and DOB must be greater than or equal to 18 years, and at the same time whatever DOJ you enter, it must be less than or equal to current date and time. So like that we need to write it. Therefore here Right now. Here write date diff, here followed by year we use. In years we are going to extract. So we should take first start date DOB. The next thing is what here? DOJ. Okay. So if it is greater than or equal to 18, we use this. And one other thing is what here? We need to compare with today's date and time. So here write next thing once again date diff, not date diff. So date diff we use like this, and here what do we write? DOJ less than or equal to, here we write get date. Like this we can write it. So this way we are trying to add a new constraint here. This can be another constraint we are trying to write. Here see how we are writing this. I think one more bracket we need to put here. One more bracket, when we put errors they disappear. Okay, so here what we write? First of all date diff year comma DOB comma DOJ. So the difference between DOJ and DOB must be greater than or equal to 18 years. That means the user has attained 18 years of age. That is fine. And similarly DOJ must be less than or equal to get date. Get date can give you current date and time. So whatever DOJ you enter, it must be less than or equal to current date and time. So that way, you cannot have a date of joining as tomorrow's date or day after tomorrow's date, because today you are joining, therefore it should be either today's date. If you want to enter some yesterday's date, that can be added, but tomorrow's date or day after tomorrow's date you cannot put. So technically that is wrong. So therefore it does not allow you to enter tomorrow's date or day after tomorrow's date. If you try to enter, it does not accept. So like this we added here certain constraints. So here we added this check constraint on the DOJ. So select it, first of all parse it for syntax errors. After that, if everything is fine, just execute it by clicking on this. What happened here? Another constraint is added on the given table. One more constraint has been added. So what is the other constraint we have here? We have a constraint for date of joining, chk DOJ. Come to this point, then here what we do? We just say refresh it. When we refresh, we get columns here, list of columns, then we go with the keys, and here you have constraints. Expand it, we get one more thing, chk DOJ, chk gender, chk user DOB. Then for default value we have for gender. Similarly for date of joining also we have. So like this we have altered the structure of the table. Table structure here we altered with the help of the alter command. Alter table command followed by we added like that. We added in that way, here the new column we added. Similarly new constraints also we added to the table. DOJ we added. Then we added here three constraints. First one is what? Default constraint. The second next two constraints are going to be check constraints. Like this we added here. Okay. Now one more thing here, I do not want to have descript. That column I would like to remove. So therefore for removing such column, what I do, I can be dropping that. So again using alter command, the column can be dropped. To drop column I can use now the alter command. Here write alter table, once again alter table followed by TBL user, write like this. Then here drop followed by give the column name. What is the column name exactly? Descript is the name of the column. Like this we put here, drop descript. Like this we put, then check for the syntax. Okay, now it's going to be dropping the descript column. So using alter table command we are going to drop the column in this. We are going to drop that column. So select like this, then check for the syntax. After that execute it. So it's giving actually error. Okay. So here when you put like this, drop followed by some descript, it tries to remove the constraint. Descript is not any constraint, therefore you need to put it as here column. Put the column like this, then again parse it. Like this we can parse it. After selecting it, it can be parsed, then execute it. Okay, so when you execute, now column is actually dropped. No longer we have that column in the given table. So from the given table now the column has been removed. What is the name of the column? Descript is the name of the column that is no longer available for us in the given table. Now click on this here, then refresh it. After that expand columns here and see now you cannot find descript column. You don't get actually here a descript column. So like this, what is happening exactly here? We added, one more column doj. After that, we added few constraints. Then we removed actually existing column from the given table. So using alter command, you can do like this. Using alter command, you can add new columns, or you can actually, add constraints. You can drop the existing column. Even you can drop the constraints also. Constraints also can be dropped. So let me drop the constraint here, the primary key constraint, let me here drop. But for that I need to know name. Without knowing name I cannot remove that. So this is the name of the primary key. I would like to drop it. So go to this, then here modify. I just copy this. So not like this, it's not like that. Fine, I'll just remove this here. So I go to this, then I just go with the rename. Now I copy this. Now I can drop the primary key constraint. I can be dropping now a primary key constraint here. So write alter, then table, then go with the TBL user. Here write drop followed by, put the column name like this. Now here this constraint can be getting dropped. No longer we have here user ID as primary key when we do like this. So select this and here parse it. After that execute this. What happened now? Here the primary key constraint has been dropped. So drop followed by, when you give here constraint name, the constraint can be getting dropped. Here similarly, for dropping a column, you need to put column name there. Drop column followed by descript. And here as far as constraint dropping is concerned, you can just write drop followed by constraint name. So like this, what we have done, we have removed the constraint, primary key constraint we have removed. Once again select it, refresh. No longer you can see the primary key column. You cannot see the primary key column now in this. User ID, username, DOB, gender, password, DOJ, like that you have, but no longer you have here any primary key there. You don't have any primary key there. But now suppose you want to make any primary key, it's possible to make now. Once again, we can make a primary key. For that we can give our own name. Let us try to give our own name. So this way, try to write it. Now let us add here again primary key. Write here alter table, TBL user, put like this, followed by add here constraint. The name of the constraint is required here. Put it as pk followed by here underscore, then put this as user ID. Put like this here pk underscore user ID, then followed by here primary key. Put like this primary key, then here in the brackets try to set that as user ID. Okay, set like user ID. Then after that just try to parse it. First of all, just parse it. Now execute this. So with this what happens, a primary key we are going to add in this. How the command we are invoking? See, alter table TBL user, here we write add constraint pk underscore user ID. This is going to be the constraint name, and primary key user ID. So which column is going to be treated as primary key column here? User ID. So therefore select this and execute. So just execute it. With that what happens here, the user ID once again is made as primary key. So refresh this TBL user. With this what happens here, you can now see a primary key symbol before the user ID. If you expand this, you can get pk user ID, then constraints also you can see in this. chk doj, chk gender, chk user dob. So like this you can see the names of the constraints, at the same time you can see primary key also. So therefore here today, using the alter command we have altered table. Table has been altered here. Similarly, we have added one more column to the table here, and similarly we have said we created a default date for the date of joining. Similarly, we added here a gender. For gender also we added check constraint. It should accept capital M or small m, or capital F or small f, like that we added. Similarly, other things also, for DOJ also we added certain constraints, and after that we removed actually an existing column called as descript. We felt that that's not required. Similarly, we added here, first we dropped existing primary key, after that we added again the same column as primary key, but this time we gave our own name. So this is what exactly alter table command, using that we have altered table. So tomorrow further we work with the same table with different commands. Thank you.